DPDPA Act and its draft rules, for which we have with us the renowned orator, Mr. Nagaraja Bangalore Subbarao. Okay, he has been an excellent and very seasoned lawyer in intellectual property, in technology, and primarily and most effectively in data privacy. He has been fractional DPO, and right now he is a founder of a very renowned academy that is Data Privacy Academy. We are honored to have him with us.
Yeah, hi everybody. Myself Nagraj. Because we have a PowerPoint presentation, I want to keep myself off the video. As and when we have questions, I'll be happy to take it. Okay. So for the time being, let's focus on the slides. Okay, coming back to the Act. So these are some of the key definitions that you should be knowing about it. Okay, in general, personal data. Okay, any data about an individual who is identifiable by or in relation to such data. So, I mean, this is a definition under the Act. Okay, so there cannot be any separate definition. So, as long as this meets, that means it is personal data. Then data fiduciary, as per the GDPR, it is data controller, but under the Indian Act, we recognize it as, we termed it as rather a data fiduciary. Any person who alone in or in conjunction with other person determines the purpose and means of processing personal data. Okay. Then data processor, any person who processes personal data on behalf of a data fiduciary. So based on the instructions of data fiduciary, if somebody is processing data, they would be referred to as data processor. So data principal. Data principal is like me and you people, right? Individuals, okay, whose data is getting processed. The individual to whom personal data relates to and where such individuals, a child, includes parents or lawful guardian of such a child. Then second one would be a person with disability includes her lawful guardian acting on her behalf. See, one uh, unique thing about this act is wherever we see definitions, wherever we see some references, it is referred to as she or her here. Okay, basically the act is referred to in the, gender women language kind of a thing. Okay, that is one unique identity of this act. Then processing, what exactly is processing, right? We are talking about the processing. So in relation to a personal data, see, everything is here only, no? One is you will be collecting a personal data. Who will be collecting the personal data? It is a data fiduciary. Then who will be processing the data would be data processor, and then whose data would be processed is data principal. So then what is data processing in general? So in relation to a personal data means a wholly or partly, okay, automated operation or set of operations performed on digital personal data, and it includes operations such as collection, recording, organization, structuring, then storage, adaptation, retrieval, use, alignment or combination, indexing, then sharing, disclosure by transmission, dissemination, or otherwise making available, restriction, erasure, or destruction. So this is typically from the Act definition. There cannot be any change to it as long as it falls under this definition. So we will recognize what exactly it would be, whether it is person data, whether it is data fiduciary, then data processor, data principal, then processing. So these are the typical key definitions under the Act. There are so many other definitions. We let's not get into that. So then coming to I think I'll come back to this later so that it would be, coming to the scope and applicability. Okay. So basically the territorial scope, right? As an act, there would be a scope. Okay. To what extent it would be applicable kind of a thing. Okay. So here the act would be applicable to data processing within India. Whatever the data is getting processed within India, it would be applicable, this act. Then applies outside India if the data, whatever is processing, okay, is related to Indian residents. Say suppose you are ordering something on for example, Alibaba.com or some other whatever foreign websites, okay, or you are taking some services from foreign organization. So if they are processing the data of Indian residents, this act would be applicable. So now let's look at what are some of the exclusions. Okay. So this act is typically applicable only for the digital data. Okay, if at all you are giving any data offline, and if it is not uh, processed online, or that means, say, suppose you are entering some office, for example, as a visitor, or you're entering some apartment as a visitor, for example. Okay. Uh, so suppose if they ask you to fill in the register book saying what are your details, name, uh, whom do you want to meet, what's your mobile number, which flat, etc. Or, for example, if you're asked, what's your name, where are you coming from, what is the purpose of coming to the office, whom do you want to meet? And if they're recording the register, I mean, if they're just keeping the register as it is, no issues. Okay. But if they're putting it as a scan copy, or if they're just taking even a picture of it and sending it to somebody for processing, okay, so then that would be still considered as digital data. Okay. But as long as they're able to maintain everything offline without getting scanning or getting a photo of it, anything, that would remain as a non-digital data. And then what is the other exclusion would be personal or domestic use. Okay. So whatever would be considered as a domestic use, for example, you might have some what do you call numbers of your maid, or some security, or car drivers, for example. So those would be you are using it for your own domestic or personal purpose. Okay, that doesn't apply here. Okay, and then publicly available information. Say suppose if your information is already in the public, for example, then this would not be applicable. And then manual processing, as I told you, if it is manually processed, this would not be applicable. So these would be the key exclusions at this point of time. So you should remember the key definitions. Okay, so these are the five what you call key definitions that you should understand. And then this would be the scope and applicability. Okay, if you're able to understand the scope and applicability, then you will be able to apply this act. Yeah. So some of the key stakeholders, as we already discussed, we came to know what is the definition. So it is data principal, like you and me, the data fiduciary, who is basically the what you call the company responsible to collect the data, for example. Then the data processor would be third party. Say suppose you went to some online e-commerce, okay, XYZ, you uh, you started doing the shopping, you did some add to some cart, okay, and then you started to log in, or maybe you did I mean, quick checkout kind of a thing. But still, you have to give your mobile number and email ID, right? Or you can probably even create a what do you call user ID and this one. So, as a online e-commerce company, what can happen is either they might have their own store, or a warehouse kind of a thing. They will send the details there and ask them to ship it to you, okay, through a third party. Uh, so there are so many third party vendors, right? Couriers or registered post, whatever it could be. So typically in this case, for example, the e-commerce company would be the data fiduciary, and then data processor would be all your this one. Say suppose if the e-commerce company did not have their own stock, for example, probably they might have a reseller on their platform. So they might be sharing the details to them, okay, as a reseller. So then the reseller would be one of the processor. Then the company which will help the reseller to ship the products to your home, for example, then they would be the data processor. So here, one data fiduciary, that is the e-commerce company or the platform. Then there are two data processors. One is for the reselling of the product, for example, and then the other one is for the shipment of your product. And the main thing is you are the data principal here. Okay. And then we also have, see, there are two things. One is as a data principal, this is basically uh, what was recognized as a fundamental rights under the Puttaswamy judgment, which was recognized by the Supreme Court. It has gone ahead and we have a statutory right under this act. Okay. So what was recognized constitutionally, now we have a separate act, and this is a common man act, you can say, for everybody like you and me, because every day there are so much of data that is getting processed of ours, right? For whatever reason, kind of thing. Maybe you're doing a payment online, maybe you're what do you call using some LinkedIn, whatever it could be, sending some email. So many things, right? End of the day, if you're an employee, you are going and giving your what you call biometric, or you're swiping your card, for example. So many places it is getting processed, the data. Okay. Yeah. So then, as a right, as I told you, as a data principle, everybody like you and me, as a common man, we have a right, to know what to access the data, what we are given. Then correction in case if there is any change or something. Okay. Then erasure if you want to delete that. That means you are no longer interested in the data. Okay. I mean, no longer interested in any service or product from them, for example. And also, as a data principle, uh, the platform or the company should give you a redressal mechanism. Okay. So grievance redressal mechanism is basically nothing but you are sending a query. Okay. Uh, uh, this is the last kind of a resort usually we do. Okay, when it comes to the customer care. Say suppose if you're not happy with the customer care, you might send it to grievance redressal for addressing it. Then it's like you're what do you call uh, from a customer executive to you're sending it to manager higher level. So same logic you can apply here. Since you are not happy with how that is getting processed, maybe you can send a query and ask them. So if you're not still happy with how they are dealing with your data, then we have one more, this one, the data protection board. Of course, at this point of time, it is not in force. As I told you, we are waiting for it to be formed. So we are expecting some news tomorrow. How it would, I mean, we already know under the act how it would be. There will be one chairman, and then there would be 5 or 6 members kind of a thing from technical, and then from the legal and all other aspects. Okay. But however, if you're not happy from the grievance addressal, you can go to the data protection board, that's for sure. And then compliance and privacy by design now for data fiduciaries. One thing is there, currently whatever system we are using, all of them never recognized or very little they recognized for the data privacy by design or data privacy by default. Okay. So see, in the last, say, 5 to 10 years, what has happened is all the data. See, uh, Facebook told it's free, right? Everybody started using Facebook and they started posting everything. I am at Baskin Robbins, or I'm eating at some. I mean, most of you might be from Hyderabad. I'm eating at this place, for example, Hyderabad biryani, for example. Yeah. See, this is what happened. So basically, they were able to monetize your what do you call it, interactions on social media. They started to recognize all these things. So they built an advertisement, for example. They built a funnel kind of a thing. So through which the advertisement was happening. So as an end user, we were not getting anything. So basically, people were using our data and our what do you call activities. They started to monetize kind of thing, right? So that's where this, and see, it did not stop there, right? So and I mean, many of your techies, uh, your phones listen to you, right? So say suppose you spoke to somebody, for example, or you are just trying to talk, all of a sudden you might see an ad popping up, okay, of the same brand or whatever similar kind of thing. So that means without knowing, we have given access to so many controls, right? Just because we wanted to access the app. How many of you remember there was an app, what do you call this one? What do you call online banking kind of a thing? Okay, which was what do you call? I don't say the exact this one 911. Okay, so they were asking for each and everything access of your phone. So for a bank account, for example, say if they're taking loan, still it is not required. But if they're just giving you a bank account, what details they need? They just need to do a KYC. Okay, they need to verify who you are, and they need to what do you call give you the service online. That's it, right? Beyond that, why do they need access to your camera? Why do they need access to your phone book, contacts, all those things? Right? Yes. So without our knowledge, they took a lot of things, and also the biggest victim was they were telling if you don't give access to this, you cannot uh, continue further, or maybe you are not able to access further beyond a point, kind of a thing. So all these things they manipulated. They also did a lot of blackmailing and everything. But now going forward, these things would stop at this point of time. I mean, I would not say immediately. Over a period of time, these things would stop. and I'm sure we can see a lot of changes in terms of how it is. Okay. Okay, let's stop here. If anybody has a question, probably I'm happy to answer if you think, if you want.